Hi everyone and welcome to the Tormek Live Sharpening Classes. Today we have a special episode. Normally when we do these live classes we have a specific topic where we focus on a jig or a wheel or a Tormek accessory, something that has to do with sharpening. In today's episode we'll be focusing on a person, the famous Stig. Why have I invited Stig then? He's our US responsible for the US office, and I have invited him because he is the Tormek demonstrator that has been working for the longest at Tormek, and I'm sure he's the guy that has met the most Tormek users out there. So hopefully he has something to, some tips and tricks to help us getting to know the Tormek system better. It's live, so everything can happen, and at the end of the show you will get the chance to ask questions to the Stig as well. Welcome Stig, or should I say Steve, since you're in the US now.
I think we could go by my real name, Stig. But you're right, most people that call our office in America call me Steve. I said, welcome to Tormek, this is Stig, and they say, hi Steve. But
I will keep it to Stig,
yeah,
which is your
thank you. I appreciate that.
Official name,
yeah.
In Sweden at least, and we're in Sweden. No, it's great having you here.
Thank you.
Great seeing you again. I haven't seen you for over 2 years with COVID and everything. You've been stuck in the US.
Yeah, but I see this live demo, so I kind of catch up with you and Wolfgang too, so that's fine.
And now you're in front of the camera. That's
yes, awesome.
Even better. You're a natural at this. I thought that you could tell us a bit about, you have had many different roles. Now you're responsible for the US office, but you didn't start out that way. What different roles have you had at Tormek?
Well, I started as in 2010. Tormek had a position out for a sales manager driving around in Sweden, and my wife asked me to apply for it, and I did. And the reason was I come from I had a music store. I sold instruments.
Yeah.
And I played in a band, and I was gone a lot. But so she saw the position. I applied for it, and I got it. 2010. So I started working, driving up and down in Sweden. I had classes with schools, furniture schools, store demos, store staff. So I did kind of all of that the first year, and then with my Norwegian heritage, since I'm born in Norway, I got to start working with Norway, and then Finland, and then Denmark, and kind of rolls on here at Tormek, as you know. And 2014, I was offered a temporary position, and also include America, and that also ended up in the whole family moving to United States, and of course we've been there for a long time, and sadly due to COVID we haven't been able to travel at all, so this is the first visit in Sweden for quite a while, 2.5 years.
Great having you here. So you're a Norwegian Swede in the US?
Yes, very Scandinavian.
Yeah, international.
And I meet a lot of Scandinavian heritage
yeah, it's quite
in
common
America,
in the US,
so
yeah.
very common. So.
Yeah. Great. My idea for the show was that I know you have a couple of points with the Tormek system that you feel strongly about, that we would start discussing them. After that, I have a couple of quick questions for you. And
awesome.
as I said before, at the end of the show, the viewers, if they want, will get the opportunity to ask questions to Stig as well. You came last week and we sat down, and I said we have to make a live.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? And the first thing you said, Sebastian, we have to talk about the handbook. I need to talk about the handbook. So here we are, you get a chance to talk about the handbook. Why is the handbook so great?
First of all, I thought I learned Tormek by the handbook, of course. It has everything you need to know about sharpening. And also not only Tormek, it's the different way of sharpening, tips and tricks. It explains a lot of things for someone who's pretty new into this, and I mean it looks pretty big, and it's a lot of info, and we understand that not everyone likes to read, so it's pictures, the text, we have the videos, so we really try to educate people in how to sharpen with Tormek, but it's more than that. It's a lot of information, and of course handbook is, we've been in business for almost 50 years, but the information is generations back. It's nothing that maybe Tormek comes up with the jigs, but experience and why you sharpen and why you sharpen this way is something that come by, you know, years of history in how to sharpen tools. So I think it's a very easy way to go into how to learn to sharpen. It's not that 1,000 hours they talk about back in the days.
When I started out at Tormek 5 years ago, one of my first days here at Tormek was with you, and you showed me the handbook and shared your passion for the handbook. And I know you even have a favorite page in the handbook, and it has become my favorite page as well.
So you remember the page number now?
48, right?
Oh, awesome.
48. I learned from the Stig. Could you tell us why is this page so great?
I mean, it shows everything. It's not only 48, it goes over too. But this is kind of the information, what kind of tool you're going to sharpen. And it will tell you what jig you're going to use, which way you have the universal support arm, so it's horizontally or vertically sharpening, and also which page. So if you want to see, for example, a knife, machetes and long knives, you use the jig SVM 45, vertically with the US 430, the larger support bar, and on page 52. And this is the information, what you can sharpen, some notes, directions, how to set it in the jig. And every page has this. And also, a lot of people ask about, for knives then, angles, and it's in the handbook. So it's a very easy way to learn how to do it. And of course, this is how you go into the Tormek system, and then you start to do your own tips and tricks yourself.
I haven't sharpened as much as you have through the years, but still I have sharpened quite a lot, but I still use it. For example, if I'm at the show, someone comes with a tool I have forgotten. You also have nice pictures, so if, for example, I'm in language where I don't know what the tool's name is, we can look at the pictures and find it. And it's a great way to start sharpening.
It is, it is. And it's the first question we have when people call us in America. Did you read the handbook? And being a man, many times, we try first to do it ourselves. But normally 95% of all customer calls, emails, it's in the handbook already. So that's why I like it. You don't need to say you're at home sharpening and you have a problem. Many people tend to go to forums, they go to internet. Yeah. It's actually in the handbook. So, and a good tip too, if you go to the website, you go to the jig, there we have the descriptions, you can do it online. Yeah. So it's very accessible. Yeah. But you recommend go old school, go for handbook? Always the handbook. And I still use it because, you know, you forget things, and to explain things very easily to customers, it's my go-to. And it's in the box when you buy all machines. All machines. If you want it in another language, it's translated in several languages. You can find the different versions in PDF versions on our website. You only have to register your machine, and you will. And also, you can buy this separately if you lost it or if you don't own the Tormek. And we have customers that download it on an iPad or something similar, so they can just have it very next to them anyhow. So that's my tip. That's my go-to every time. Of course, there are some tools that we don't have in there, but there are a few. Yeah. And then we have met someone that know how to do it, so we can tell people how to do it. Yeah, it's as you said, it has been written over 50 years and revised, and it's a really good book. It is. Great. I know another strong topic that you always talk a lot about is sharpening pressure and pressure when sharpening. What? As you know, some people say it's you meet those people that use it and think it's a little slow. Yeah. And it took me a while to understand why. And we talk a lot of sharpening with a lot of people, and then I heard that someone said, well, if you come from a bench grinder and you're sharpening something, you have to use very little pressure. And when you go to Tormek, if you start to sharpen this machine, I see people do like this. This is, it's gonna work, but it's gonna take a very long time. Everything is about how much pressure you apply. And you can hear it. how much it actually goes into the grit. And I just think when you're using the stone, and then since it goes from 220 grit to 1000, it's very versatile. But when you learn about pressure, you're listening, you're feeling, it just goes better and better and better over time. So pressure is important, and I normally say on a trade show, if I also use the safety gadgets, that if we use the system and lock it into place, now we can go for lunch.
Yeah.
And not a lot of things happens. So pressure is important.
There is an exception. This is an original stone, and for the stones, pressure is great.
Exactly.
We, since a couple of years back, have the diamond wheels. And that's a bit different.
Bit different, less pressure.
Yeah.
So the diamond is since it's a constant grit, you can apply less pressure because you're not getting a finer and finer stone. So that's a different thing. Be a little more careful when you kind of break it in, and don't be too aggressive on it. The lifetime expands on the diamond wheel, and it's not going to give you a lot of benefits pressing harder. So that's a good point to take up. More pressure on the SG stone.
And as you showed before, you put pressure here in front, where you have better control, and you can. We sometimes see people putting pressure up here, then you're loose and.
It's one thing that I want to kind of point out too is when you remove a chisel or put it in the jig, and if it's not been cleaned or you have oil or water on it, pressure can be a little dangerous too. It can kind of pop up the. So that's also a good reminder to always clean your tools, especially new chisels and planer blades, and always see that it's dry inside. Then it clamps down in. As a demonstrator, you know, we have very few minutes to show someone on a trade show, and we are pretty brutal with this machine.
Yeah, we are.
And it never stops. No. So
it's a real workhorse.
Training and you learn, but again, as I said, listen and. You know, if you can touch the stone and you can feel how fine it is, easily learn.
One thing I appreciate often when talking with you, Stig, when we do these live shows and we talk about sharpening, we sometimes get a bit nerdy and we're looking always for the perfect result and stuff. And sometimes when I talk to you, you say, oh, come on, sharp enough is good enough. And I appreciate. What do you mean with that?
Well, coming from a totally other background, starting at Tormek, and we start to meet people. I started buying good knives, and I did it all. I went, you know, from dressing the stone to 1000, putting the Japanese stone on, really have the best edge I could have. And I went a little kind of overboard, so to speak. And then in 2016, the T2 came out, and we start to work with the Swedish culinary team, the national team, and those chefs are top chefs. It's like Michelin class chefs. And then we were at the demo, and they just loved the T2. And these people are working with knives as a tool all the time. And it struck me, of course, I'm not using a knife like they are. So when is sharp enough? So slowly I have degraded my needs to even use the Japanese stones. I do it once in a while. I have some nice Japanese knives, but these days, you know, I don't even dress my stone, or I can just feel it good enough, or even a T2 or a T1. It's good enough. It's sharp enough. I can cut a tomato, fine by me. I can slice a piece of paper. It's good. So it's very easy to have this machine and then try to go all the way. But is it really necessary? And that's kind of my travel the last years, that it doesn't need to be that bad.
No, if you have sharpening as a hobby, you can take it very long and really get the perfect result. But if you just want sharp tools and you're, I don't know, wood carver, guitar maker, whatever, they will be sharp enough very quickly.
Exactly.
And perhaps your knife with the Japanese water stones, they were perhaps more to impress your friends than to actually cut tomatoes.
Well, impress my family and friends, for sure. But I mean, we were when I first started Tormek, and you have kids, you're gonna learn them. You never put a knife in the dishwasher.
No.
Hand wash, dry it out, and don't put it on the edge down, a wooden block,
No.
edge up. So I even influenced my kids a little bit, but that's the way it should be. They have to be careful.
I recognize that your journey. I think I've done pretty much the same.
I think we all have done it.
You often also say when you're out traveling that you have a mission when you show the Tormek system, that you're on a mission to learn people something in particular.
Honing.
Yeah.
I think that's also one of the issues some of the users we have is that they may be sharpened, but they haven't really gone all the way out to get a burr, or they got the burr, but they haven't found the right way of honing. They haven't practiced enough, and that can be frustrating. And then when you get to that level that you're very confident about the honing and honing freehand, then you start to use, like on my knives, I sharpen my knives maybe once, twice a year if I got a damage or something.
Yeah.
But I hone them 3, 4, 5 times a year when my wife tells me to, because she's the chef at home.
Yeah.
And honing is for me become like the one thing that I see people have less success with many times. That's why I'm like, you need to hone and you have to do this and this the right way. On a knife, it's not that bad to kind of round an edge, but on a chisel, even if it looks great, some small things on the honing wheel could actually round the edge a little bit. So that's kind of where I want to tell people more about it, because they invest in this, and there are small things, sometimes even 15 seconds of honing makes a huge difference. And it's like you can feel it that you don't have the burr, and then a few more passes, then you have it. So honing is important.
We did a try last week to help you on your mission. We had the basics of honing, a live session last week.
Like that.
So if you want to learn more about honing, please look at that episode afterwards. And
which is great. And I think even we have users that on every, like they have a class. They teach people like, I'm just going to hone a few passes, go back and cut some wood, and people can hear the difference how it cuts.
Yeah.
So it's, but of course honing. If you're cutting if you're in Australia and cutting wood, you have a lot of sand.
Yeah.
And so then you have to sharpen more, of course. It depends where you live.
Yeah.
So, and what you're cutting in, of course.
But to get this razor sharp result, the honing wheel
is super important. Super important.
Many of you are probably familiar with the Tormek quality, but Stig said he wanted to talk about the Tormek quality as well. Many of you know that we have 8-year warranty and so forth, but when you talk about Tormek quality, you put in a lot of other aspects as well. Could you please elaborate?
Yeah, you buy a machine, and if you take care of it, it's going to last a generation or two. So it's an investment, but you get the 8-year warranty. But we have spare parts for 25 years. So if you have an old machine, you need some new parts, we normally have them, which is quite unique. And as I said, take care of it, do an annual kind of service, pull it apart, make sure that you have some grease in the bushings, clean up the shaft. These machines, they just last. So not only that, you have a lot of like user groups, the forum, we're only a call away. So it's more than those 8 years. I kind of feel that we always support the customers, and that
they should
use
it. That it's possible to send us an email or
exactly. And we're pretty unique. We only work with this, so this is our focus.
Yeah.
So we need to be on our toes ourselves, and I think we are pretty critical as staff at Tormek, being out and demoing. So we really try to do a good product, but also it should be safe that if I have a machine for 20 years, I should be able to buy a new dry wheel or a bushing or whatever. So I think we have that longevity very kind of in our roots at Tormek. So I like that.
I feel like I'm only doing commercial for these live classes now, but if you want to upgrade an old machine, we also have a a live episode a couple of weeks back that you can find. We talk about the Tormek machine through history, but we also have a special episode where we talk about how to upgrade your old Tormek and spare parts that are that can make your old Tormek almost as good as a T8. Great. I will look at my papers. I think that was more or less the points you had. We had decided to talk about.
Yeah.
So now it comes to my quick questions for the Stig.
Questions for the Stig. Yeah.
I'm not going to be too mean towards you. It's going to be only focusing on sharpening and easy questions. I think you will. You don't have to be nervous.
That's good.
Your favorite grinding wheel? I think you might have touched it, but is it the?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's in my use. I'm not I know how to do a lot of things, but I'm not a wood turner. I'm not like a woodworker. But for my personal use, it's the SG stone. I think it's very versatile.
Yeah.
I probably sharpen more than I need to sharpen. If I have an axe at home, it's always sharp.
Yeah.
But it's just very, very good. And also the fact that it comes with the stone grater. So you can use it fine or coarse and everything in between. And they last a long time. I think when you first get the machine, by just practice and being new to the system, you wear down more stone. But I'm pretty sure that's less than half a centimeter.
Yeah.
5 millimeters, 6 millimeters. Then you start to see that, wow, this stone lasts a long time. And it's just, it's a good stone. And if I had done maybe wood carving and had those needs that I always have the same protrusion and that, then the diamond wheel would help me.
Yeah.
With that said though, I have started to use the T2 a little bit more with my knives too, and now the T1 is gonna soon be in my kitchen too, I hope so. But I just think it's great. I understand the diamond. I think the diamond is great for our needs. It's lasts longer than a CBN. It's harder. So for our kind of thing, I think it's great. But for me, the SG, the
for an overall user, due to its versatility.
I always recommend people too. If you haven't ever used a Tormek, learn how to use the 250, this SG stone, and then because then you learn about the pressure, which kind of helps you when going with the diamond wheels too. So I think that's cool. 5 years ago, I would have said the SJ stones. The Japanese one.
When you were nerdy and trying to
impress
impress your friend.
Nothing wrong being nerdy,
wife.
but yeah, I like that too. But this is my kind of go-to.
Great. I think I almost know the answer to this question, but the viewers might not know it. Your favorite jig?
It's there, the
one you already set up.
Yeah, the SC77. I think it's. I really like the SC76, but we also had a little problems with that because we had some users not mounting a tool correctly. There are so much new things on this jig that it's advanced and very accurate, and yeah, it's just a great jig, and of course it comes with a T8. But you can sharpen most things. You can do a camber on plain blades. You can sharpen all kind of chisels, and then you have, of course, the micro adjustment that helps me a lot when I'm setting up tools. So I think that's probably one of my favorite ones. Sometimes
we get people that has difficulties with the 90 degrees.
Yeah.
I have seen you when you demonstrate, and you have a tip that I have stolen from you that I use as well sometimes, but that I think is very good to make sure that you're perfectly square. Can you please?
I was thinking about this earlier when we talked about it, and one thing that struck me also, when you have a chisel and you have used it for years, they might get a little bent.
Yeah.
And if you have a bent chisel, you will never get a good result because it's kind of twist up a little bit. So that tip is use shorter protrusion. So closer to the edge and lower the support bar. That's a good thing. But also if you have, let's say if you have a jig that is a little kind of out of, it's getting askew, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you go on this side, here you can actually see that if you put it on the side of the stone, you can actually straighten it up and then lock the micro adjustment too much. There we are. And then this should align the chisel on the stone, if it's trued and straight with the support bar. That have helped me so many times. But I had to go the long way, 4 weeks with a customer to understand that he had a twisted chisel. So it's a lot of things that many people would come out to us and say it's something wrong with the jig. But I also say have a look at the tool first and be sure that it's straight. And also if you have a chisel that are tapered, then you can have an issue with getting it straight. So the accuracy of this jig since it came has been great. As you know, I worked on the support before, and I had so many questions about the SC77. But when we came with this jig,
with SC76,
so as SC76, people have some issues. We knew how to help them. But when this came, they started to read the handbook because it was a little more advanced. So I just like that one, and it's
a good thing you mentioned also. Sometimes I meet that also, but like different wood carving tools and so on, perhaps sometimes you don't get the perfect result. Many wood carving tools are handmade and they are not perfectly square from the beginning. So as you said, look at the tools.
Look at the tools. That's also a kind of general tip. And could be drill bits, could be whatever. If they are metal, wear out sometimes, and then have a look at the tools. Usually a more high-end brand gives you a better quality of that too, of course. So so that's my little kind of go-to.
And finally then, your favorite accessory?
If you're going to buy a Tormek, you have to buy the HB-10, the rotation base. Can I just show also that we can put these stops back so we know where we have them later? Because that's easy to forget too. But this little thing, it's a heavy machine, and when you want to turn it around, I can stand on the same side instead of walking around the machine. So if I sharpen this way, but I want to hone, for instance, on this side, and we always hone with the honing wheel's direction, I can be in the same position all the time. So I really like that one.
Yeah, it makes sharpening life way easier.
And we didn't have that when I started here, so that's why I like it. My demos was way easier to do.
Yeah, it's really a great jig. I started the episode by saying that you met a lot of people through the years, a lot of Tormek users, a lot of Tormek ambassadors, talented people, gifted with many different professional chefs, wood turners, wood carvers. I guess you met a lot of amazing people. And perhaps it's difficult to find someone that sticks out, but do you have someone or some meeting that is closer to your heart or that pops up in your head right now?
There are many.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the users and contacts and ambassadors or whatever we have are great people. Yeah. So name dropping might feel a little bad. But I do have a soft. I do really like wood. Yeah. And coming from the guitars, I sold a lot of the store we had. Yeah. We sold a lot of acoustic guitars.
Yeah, you had a guitar store.
Yeah, so a music store, we sold instruments. I would say 70% was acoustic guitars, and we have luthiers in Sweden, David Sundberg Guitars, Michael Sandén, we're talking top shelf luthiers, but also wood turners, Nick Agar, Glenn Lucas, Terry Martin. You know, I can just go on and go on. And what I really like is how much I have learned myself. Yeah. Sometimes you think you know a lot, but I kind of like the old saying that Torgny, who started Tormek, is the more you learn, the less you know. That's been kind of good to know. But everyone that are working with wood, I don't get it how they can be this talented. But then the chefs, of course.
Yeah, you like food as well.
I do.
It wasn't at all
thank you, Sebastian.
But I understand, coming from that background with your guitar shop and meeting top-class guitar makers is, of course, you combine your both passions, sharpening your new passion with your passion guitar. Yeah,
but I think it's interesting. I mean, we can you can meet anyone on a trade show
Yeah.
or on a phone, or it's always interesting to learn more about them.
Yeah.
And some people always come by later, like a trade show, and they come by just to say hi, and whatever tip or what I learned, it's just like it's a mutual learning curve for all of us. I kind of really like that.
And I also find it sometimes nice when you go to the same trade show year after year and you have the same guy, you almost get friends with them. You meet them once a year, but
We do.
For 10 years it's...
And of course, I mean, we have some great, we have the Tormek Forum, Ken who works there. It's just like very, very, very good people. So
Yeah, it's a good upside with the job. You get to meet a lot of
that's
very nice people.
Real true.
Great, I'm done with my questions, but when I go to my iPad here, I see that there are quite a few people having questions for you as well. So I will try to work my way from upside down.
That's good. We have some questions.
Yes, we have. We have people, as usual, from all over the world looking at us, from Germany to Ireland to the US, Belgium.
No one from Norway?
Not what I see right now. There's some Russian here as well. People are agreeing with you that the SG stone is fantastic. One said, I have the SG diamond wheel coarse, diamond wheel extra fine, and Japanese stone. I still use the SG more than the others. So
it's a great thing if you have all those wheels. It's like, well, he's just keeping things sharp.
yeah,
And he needs to use his diamond wheels when things happen.
Yeah.
Accidents, you drop a tool or something happen. I did the same thing. So when I use the Japanese stone, it's like probably more than I needed, but it's like, oh, I have to go to Japanese stone. So it's
yeah, and Michael says also there's more versatility and forgiveness with the SG stone, and that's right. The diamond wheel, if you make a mistake on the SG, you can always through it, and it's as new. With the diamond wheel, a mistake.
It's always a little mistakes in the beginning. I've done it. You've probably done it.
Yes, I have.
And I've been lucky because if I make a mistake, we have some more in stock.
Yeah, it's
But they come when you are a little new to the system, most likely, and after some experience, you know how to do it.
yeah.
It's a learning curve. It's like playing guitar, so it's a little training with it.
Yeah. We have a question. I have the handbook that came with my T8, but where can I obtain a PDF to keep on my iPad? Do you want to answer that, or should I answer?
I've never done it myself, but if you register the machine, you can download the handbook, and then you can just download it on your iPad.
Yeah.
So
you can download.
I'm pretty
PDF.
sure if he goes to the Tormek forum, he will find the information.
Yes. They are helping us to answer questions as well. That's great with our...
As usual,
yeah,
we always get help from our
perfect.
customers. Just love it.
Kenneth also asked the question, he has owned a Tormek 2000 for years, curious as to the year it was introduced on the market. And then John replied that 1973 was the first Tormek model. That's correct. Tormek was founded 1973. When the 2000 machine came out on the market, I should know this by now since I had this history lesson. But
you had that live session 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right?
2 weeks.
Yeah,
now being mean, it's a month ago. No, but so after the first was the ST, then came the SA 250, and then came the 2000. And I would guess that the 2000 came sometime early 90s, perhaps, somewhere there. But the 2000 was very similar to the SA 250, only that it was green and the other one was blue.
Yeah, and I mean,
we still have spare parts for those.
We still have spare parts. And it's still a great machine. As I said, if you take care of the machines,
yeah, they will last.
They last. It's wild how good they are.
Chris is asking, what is the best tool to start practicing with? Hopefully that will build skill and confidence. Good
Well, that's
question.
interesting. If you have some background in woodworking, of course, the SC77, you should start to sharpen chisels and planer blades. We have lots of users that starts with knives.
Yeah.
And since that's a jig that's not kind of mounted on the support bar,
Yeah.
it's a little more kind of training. I always recommend to see like the old movies by Jeff Faris and of course now with your live demos.
Thank you. I was getting worried.
Sorry about that. But some small, how you do it, lift, pivot, and it's so hard too because there's so many different models of a knife blade.
Yeah.
So you just start, take time, don't stress, light pressure to start with, and most people have a really good knife after 3, 4, 5 attempts. So,
but as you said, knives are not fixed. For example, chisel, just you set it right, then the actual sharpening is very easy.
It is.
So if you want to build confidence, perhaps a chisel could be
I
a
think
solution.
that's a good thing. It's
Uh,
always exciting when you get that first tool.
Yeah.
Super sharp. That's fun.
And also sometimes with knives, I find it that people get it sharp, but perhaps not the perfect symmetrical bevel first time. But the tomato doesn't really care how the knife looks. It's more.
I think it's going back to kind of my first month at Tormek. Of course, I was sharpening knives on a trade show in Norway, and I wasn't the most experienced, and then you get a little nervous. I had a customer in Norway. I sharpened up a planer blade, and it had corners, so I pressed on the wrong spot. So, as I said, use the handbook because when you're new to it, you start to think you know how to do it, and then you make easy mistakes that is easily answered in the handbook.
Yeah.
So planer blades, you need to press on the sides.
We also have a question regarding, do you ever need to flatten the grading stone? I think it's SB.
Well, I think we all use it a little differently.
Yeah.
Great question, because I got a comment that I did it wrong once.
Yeah.
So if I turn this machine around so you can see from the side, when I use the course, I normally do like this.
Yeah.
But of course, again, when we do demos, we want to show how fast it can be done. But don't just use one spot on the SP, the stone grader. Use it all over so you wear it out evenly. Same thing with the flat side. For some reason, I started doing like this, and I move it up and down.
Yeah.
What's wrong or what's right? As long as you use it long enough and use it evenly, there will be some issues, but even if you would hold it like this, it still would follow the size of the stone.
Yeah.
So I even think we do it differently.
Well, I think I'll do, in the handbook they say like this.
Yep.
I often show it like this, and my argument for that is that it will last longer, because otherwise, even if you use all over, you will risk after a while having a groove in it.
Yeah, could be.
But as long as you get your wheel coarse or fine, you're good to go. But you can't flatten it afterwards. Once you have a groove.
I had someone said he flattened it on a diamond, flattening, but I have never felt I needed to do it, to be honest. So I always work around issues. If I get something, if I have a used machine, I have used. I will make it work. So it's that's another thing that we do very often. We overthink a little bit.
Yeah.
All of us, and again, I like to try to keep it as simple as possible.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Great. It was great having you, Stig. Fun working with you again.
Same.
Felt like
Appreciate
my
it.
first days at Tormek almost, but now we had a bit bigger audience. You're still learning me things. Do you have any last words I want to say, but that's wrong in English? Do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I'm as I said, I'm very happy to be here and to be a part of this live demos. It's
we're very glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And now that hopefully COVID is the world is opening up again and traveling is way more possible, I'm sure I will take advantage of you having you more here at headquarters and putting you in front of the camera more often. You're a natural at this.
Well, so are you.
We've been too friendly to each other. Thank you very much, all you, the viewers. Hope you enjoyed meeting the Stig. Perhaps some of you have met him live, or
Hope
you
so.
will meet him live in the future, somewhere in the States or elsewhere in the world. Thank you very much for watching, and stay safe and stay sharp.
Thank you.